I'm Owen Bigland. This is the Inside Edge video blog. Wanted to give you guys an update on the foreign buyer's tax. And I gotta admit, I'm kind of getting tired of talking about all these damn taxes. I've always told people that, governments come and go, but I'm hoping to kind of put a lot of these things to bed here this spring and then move on to other topics, market updates and where I see the market going and what to buy and how to rent properties and all the bread and butter stuff I enjoy doing a lot more. But I've got to keep people abreast of this current government, the foreign buyer's tax, the new property transfer tax, the empty homes tax, the speculation tax. They're just trying to kill us with taxes. I'm not a big fan of taxes because I don't think they're going to do what they intend, what a lot of people think they're going to do, make homes more affordable. If anything, they're probably going to do the reverse. And I'm under the belief that we all pay enough taxes as it is. We're taxed to death in this province, but some people welcome more taxes, which I find strange. But wanted to keep you abreast of what's going on with the old foreign buyer's tax. Now, when that tax was implemented almost 2 years ago, about 5 months after that was introduced, well, at the time it was introduced too, I said it was unlawful for a number of reasons. But the big reason I talked about was they did not grandfather deals in, which I'm going to talk about here in a minute. And I said that this will be challenged. They're going to get a class action lawsuit together, and they would probably end up winning. Well, it's been 2 years, and this has been winding its way through court. If you read in the paper last week, you'll see that it's coming up. June 25th will be the preliminary hearings on the empty foreign buyer's tax and the potential of a class action lawsuit. There are several people that are part of this lawsuit. They're suing the province, saying that the foreign buyer's tax was unlawful, it was discriminatory, and they did not grandfather the deal. So listen, whether this was discriminatory or not, and I know I'm not going to get any sympathy about the foreign buyer's tax. We wanted to tax foreigners. They were buying. A lot of people think we're the root cause of why the prices have gone up. Let's put that all aside for now. What I talked about when that foreign buyer's tax first came out 2 summers ago, and the problem I had with it, and why this lawsuit, when it finally gets all settled, which is going to be several more years, this is just the hearings are scheduled for June 25th. This is going to drag on for years. And any final decision that's made will be appealed. So it's going to go back and forth a few more times. But the area that I had the big problem with, and anyone with any bit of common sense will agree with me on this, was the fact that this tax was introduced. They gave us no warning whatsoever. They gave essentially everyone 1 week. 15% tax. Any deals that close after the end of next week and you're a foreign buyer, will be hit with the foreign buyer's tax. The problem is that we had thousands and thousands of deals that were in the system. As people know, when you buy a house, you write an offer with a 10-day subject removal. You remove the subjects 10 days later, and you might have 3, 4, 5, 2 months, 3 months before completion. But once you remove subjects, we have a firm deal in place. It's a legally binding contract. You're going to pay X amount, you're going to give X amount as a deposit, and then 2 months later, that's when the deal will complete. You will transfer the rest of the money to the seller, and the title will be transferred to the new owner. Where this foreign buyer's tax went hideously wrong, and what they should have done, and they know it. The provincial government knows they made a huge mistake on this, and this is why they're going to lose this lawsuit eventually. Mark my words. They should have grandfathered the several thousand deals that were already in place. Now, there's a woman here, her name is Mrs. Lee. She is the one who is the principal in getting this whole, starting this class action lawsuit against the province. She bought a townhome in Langley. She paid $575,000 for it, put down a $60,000 deposit with a closing of about 6 weeks or something down the road. The foreign buyer's tax was announced right after she had purchased it. And as I said before, the government should have grandfathered that in. She had a firm deal in place to buy that condo, had laid down her deposit funds, but didn't complete on it for 6 more weeks. That should have been exempt, but the government did not do that. So now Mrs. Lee faced 2 problems, and neither one of them was good solutions to this. She could either walk away from the deal to buy the townhouse and lose her $60,000 deposit, which was being held by the developer, and probably get sued by the developer on top of that. Or she could come up with about $83,000, which was what the 15% tax was going to be, and see the sale through. So she ended up doing the smart thing, which I would have recommended she do too, see the deal through. She ended up borrowing money from family and friends and scraped together $83,000, closed on it, paid that $83,000 to the government. But now, of course, she is suing the government for the fact that she had a firm deal in place, had her deposit laid down, and the government essentially changed the goalposts on her. Now they wanted another $85,000 for her to complete the deal. The government should have simply grandfathered those several thousand deals that were in place. I mean, how would you feel about that? If you bought a house, put down a $75,000 deposit, and then a week later, all of a sudden, the government said, we want $90,000 from you now to close on that house. Not fair, not legal, and it's one of the reasons why when the smoke clears on this, and it's probably going to take a couple of years, all the people that were forced either to walk away, because many of them did not complete. Many of them had no choice. They didn't have a spare 80 or 90 or 100,000. There was people that had bought detached homes that were looking at $200,000 and $300,000 tax bills that last week they weren't expecting. 6 weeks from now they close and they need to come up with $300,000 to complete the deal. Their only choice was to walk away and lose their $100,000 or $150,000 deposit. Neither option was good. So there are thousands of these people that are out there that either paid the tax when they shouldn't have because it should have been grandfathered, or had to walk away from deals. And many of those people that walked away from deals not only gave up their deposits, but got sued or are in the process of getting sued by the seller. Because when you sign on the dotted line on a contract of purchase and sale, I've talked about this before, it's a legally binding contract. In other words, if you can't complete on it 5 weeks or 6 weeks or whenever that is, not only are you going to lose your deposit, but if the seller can't sell that house for the same price or better than what they sold it to you, they're going to sue you for the difference, and they will win every time. You can fight it all you want, but the contract of purchase and sale is binding, and you're going to get your head handed to you. So it's terrible how this worked. Let's put the foreign buyer's tax aside. What I'm talking about here is the grandfathering of the deals that were already in place. And that's why this lawsuit is going to win eventually. And it should win. If it doesn't, it's a travesty that a government can come in and do that. And I don't care if they're Chinese or Indian. It doesn't matter. Putting the foreign buyers aside, this never should have happened. They should have grandfathered those deals in there. And we'll see how this all weaves through court. And again, the decision on this might not be till early next year. And then, as it says in the articles I've read, that they'll end up appealing no matter who wins. If the province prevails, the lawyers that are representing these clients will end up appealing it. And the same thing if the class action lawsuit wins, the province will appeal it. It'll go on for years in limbo. But I do think that, and I'm on the side of Mrs. Lee here, that these deals should have been grandfathered in. And if you remember what happened here, it was just crazy. My office stayed open almost 24 hours a day for 5 days when that tax was announced, because what happened was there was a scramble for anyone that had a deal in place to try and move their closing dates up. So it was crazy. If you talk to the lawyers and the notaries at that time, they were sleeping in their offices. They never left. They were open 24 hours a day trying to push these deals through. And some of them did. There was hundreds that did get pushed forward. So they had that 1 week window and were able to push the completion dates to avoid the tax. But there was several thousand deals at the Vancouver Real Estate Board that were in place, firm deals, that did not complete until after the foreign buyer's tax came into place. Maybe 5% were able to move those up. The other 95% either had to pay the tax or walk away from a deposit and get sued. So we'll see what happens. I'll keep you up to date on this maybe in another year or two. This is the next time we'll follow up on this. But I think that the buyers in this situation, these foreign buyers, are going to end up prevailing in this lawsuit, and I think they should. I'm Owen Bigland. See you next week.